Okay. All right, perfect. So we're recording. Hello and welcome everyone. My name is Dr. Chelsea Hagopian and I am here representing the board of the Emory Nurses Alumni Association. Today I am excited to be joined by Crystal Grant and Everett Moss II, two incredible nurses and co-authors of a new children's book, the Super CRNA. Crystal is a certified registered nurse anesthetist, or CRNA, and Everett is currently a student registered nurse anesthetist in the Doctor of Nursing practice program at the Emory School of Nursing. We're going to be talking about their field of nursing anesthesia, the journey to how they got to where they are now, and their book and its important teachings for kids. Crystal, Everett, welcome and thank you for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Crystal, I'd like to start with you. So what is a certified registered nurse anesthetist, or CRNA?
So CRNA, or certified registered nurse anesthetist, or certified registered nurse anesthesiologist, is the new term that we are allowed to call ourselves. We are advanced practice registered nurses, meaning we either hold a master's degree or up and coming new graduates hold doctorate degrees in nursing or nurse anesthesia. We are the ones who deliver the anesthetics to over 60 million patients per year. We do everything from pregnant women who are in labor and need epidurals, C-sections, spinals. We do general anesthetics for the men and women of the armed forces. We do pediatrics. We do it all. And so I'm very proud of this profession, obviously, because I wrote books about it. And I'm just so happy to be able to share this profession with others, because I didn't know about it until much later in life. So hopefully sooner rather than later for the ones who are listening to this.
That's awesome. So Everett, I know that being a current student registered nurse and anesthetist in the DNP program at Emory, could you tell us a bit more about why the shift towards DNP as entry to practice in your field?
So being 2 weeks in, I'm still learning a lot about the shift. What I can say is that, you know, there are 8 essentials. I don't have them all committed to memory, but they're all associated with the DNP pursuit. And I know that it prepares the certified registered nurse anesthetist to also be more involved in the healthcare system overall, when it comes to leadership, when it comes to policy, when it comes to collaborative healthcare. That's from my standpoint, that's one of the goals of moving towards DNP, because it's considered a more terminal degree, and it's also something that's recognized in academia, and from the professor standpoint.
That's awesome. Now, I'd love to hear both of your stories of how you became interested in nursing and what led you to the field of nursing anesthesia. Crystal, you want to start?
Sure. So I actually wasn't interested in nursing, probably because my mother was an LPN, and so that's kind of all I knew about nursing. I started off as a physician assistant major at my first college, actually, and after a year, I begged my mother to please let me transfer colleges. It was just a really small private Southern Christian school, and I was like, I can't do this. So my mother allowed me to transfer schools. She was also terminally ill at that time and ended up passing away after I transferred schools. And I knew that I would need a career that I could, one, help others and provide for myself financially, while also giving back and caring for others like I had seen them care for my mother prior to her death. So I went into nursing. I graduated in 2002 from North Carolina A&T State University in North Carolina. Then I started in the intensive care unit in Raleigh at Rex Hospital. I worked there for about a year and a half before I began travel nursing. I traveled nurse for about 8 years before I got the guts to apply to CRNA school. I had only heard about CRNA school very briefly in my Nursing 101 course years prior, and I knew that it was an advanced degree, that these were some of the brightest people out there, and this was like the cream of the crop as far as patient autonomy, the salary, and just the level of knowledge needed to care for these patients. But I chickened out, and so I put it off for about 8 or 9 years. And then I applied. I started applying in 2009. I applied to 7 programs. I was interviewed at 6, and I got accepted into 1. And so it's a very difficult, but obviously not impossible, because here I am. I made it through. I graduated. And so I've been practicing ever since 2012 in a variety of settings. Currently, I am 3 weeks into a brand new job and brand new life in North Carolina. I just up and moved 3 weeks ago. So,
Wow, that's exciting.
yeah.
How are you liking it?
You know, it's an adjustment just like anything else. I'm very excited for the change, but it's a lot. Just I don't know this area, so just figuring out how to get home every day is a challenge. Trying to, you know, find new ways to go home. Meeting new people. I know 2 people here and my 2 dogs, so I guess that's 4. And just, you know, learning the system, learning the hospital, where to park, where to put your lunch, where to, you know, although I have the anesthesia part down, you know, I've been doing that for quite some time. It's all the other little logistics that can add up. But I know I'm giving myself a year to really become comfortable in this new environment and new setting. So it's very exciting.
That's great. And what a great perspective of saying, you know, I understand that I'm going to go through, you know, just the normal learning curve of being in a new place, a new institution, and saying, okay, I'm going to give myself a year. So knowing that it's, you know, not expecting yourself to get oriented so quickly. And I think that that's really important for people to reflect on. So that's a great message. What is your favorite area in anesthesia? What are your favorite cases or discipline or?
I would probably say I like, we call them bread and butter cases. So usually that's like your standard general anesthetic, somebody who may be coming in for, you know, breast augmentation, or somebody who may be coming in for a laparoscopic cholecystectomy. Pretty straightforward. Get them in, give them, you know, their meds, get them off to sleep, quick case, and then wake them up. I really like those, and I really like something we call monitored anesthetic cases. Those can be anywhere from your podiatry cases, you know, somebody who's coming in for a bunch of things that are wrong with their feet. It can be hand cases, but the type of anesthesia that we do for those cases, it's a skill that actually really comes with time as far as mastery, because it's not as straightforward as a general, you know, you just turn on your gas pretty much once the endotracheal tube is in. Like a monitored anesthetic takes some really fine tuning and finessing. So I enjoy those because I feel like there's a different way you can do those each time, and you can learn. There's always something to learn in anesthesia, even though our amount of drugs that we use is kind of small. There's always new combinations to kind of learn and try. And I've already 2 weeks in learned a few different new techniques. So I'm really excited about that.
That's so cool. So it's really the art of your profession.
Yes, yes.
Awesome. That's really cool. Well, Everett, you want to share kind of your story and how you became interested in nursing and nursing anesthesia?
Yeah, well, my background started with right here in the city of Atlanta as a firefighter. My father was a firefighter, so that was my introduction to it. Became an EMT, started working in the station, saw some guys that looked like they could do a lot of stuff I couldn't do, and they had a lot of knowledge that I didn't have, so it pushed me to go to paramedic school. got into paramedic school, just started learning much more about healthcare. During that time period, decided that I wanted to become a flight paramedic. And all during that same window, I met, similar to like Crystal, I met a PA who was also an anesthesia assistant, and he actually is a graduate of Emory. And that was my first exposure to anesthesia. And he was telling me how, it was great that I was a medic first and that it would be a good transition. And I decided to leave the fire service in pursuit of anesthesia. But along the way, I met some CRNAs, and one AA said that if all things were the same, he would be a CRNA. And so I said, well, if one AA want to be a CRNA, then I need to be a CRNA while I have the choice. So that's kind of my initial journey toward CRNA. I left the fire department, flew full time while going to nursing school at Gwinnett Tech, and finished nursing school. Didn't land a job in the ICU, so I ended up going to the ER, which was more of my comfort zone. Worked in the ER. That kind of led me to administration. And one day during admin, I was just like, you know what, this is not for me. And a good friend of mine said, you know what you need to do. You need to go back to CR and go pursue your original dream. And I had, just like many others, made excuses. Said, oh no, well, I got a family. Oh no, I can't afford it. Oh no, I don't want to go to the ICU. I've done this, I've done that. But after saying all of that, the answer was still the same. You won't be satisfied until you do what you set out to do. So I transitioned, went to the ICU at Grady, started working towards getting into CRNA school. About 6 months later, I met Crystal for the first time. I met Dr. Nicely at a diversity CRNA event. I had the chance to actually shadow Dr. Moore. And honestly, they are the two reasons why I'm at Emory, because when I met them, they caused me to believe in the Emory program because of how much they believed in the program. They were very relatable. They were very personable. And it just, they sold me. Emory wasn't on the top of my list at that time because, like similar to others, I saw that Emory price tag. I knew Emory was a great school, but the price tag frightened me. But their interaction, their personality said, you know what, it'll be worth it. And the more I thought about it, the greater it became an option, because me being an Atlanta native, knowing the Emory name, having worked at Grady, worked on the streets of Grady EMS, I just figured it would be a great story to get accepted into Emory, being a hometown person, in the case of the Super CRNA being a hometown hero. it just kind of all goes together, and I'm just glad to be here.
That's amazing. So how did y'all start to collaborate for this book?
I honestly, I had to think about that question. So I think it was probably around last year at this time, because when I look back at our message exchange, I think it was because I met Everett in April of last year at the Diversity CRNA event, and we kept in contact, and I knew when he started applying to schools, we did some mock interview sessions. And so always in the back of my mind, I was like, for my comic book series that I want, he just seems like such the superhero type. I know he likes superheroes because I've seen him, in the Cherokee Nursing Scrub superheroes. I've seen him interact with the pediatric patients just via his Instagram page and things like that. So in my mind, he was just such a great face for the brand, if you want to say. And so I reached out to him and I was like, hey, can you send me a picture of you standing in nursing uniform, because this is a thought process that I'm having about what I'm working on. And he did. I sent it to an illustrator, and the illustrator caught it so well. And when I sent it to Everett, he's like, oh my God, this is awesome. So then the story just kind of developed from there. In my mind, I knew that I wanted it to kind of showcase the profession, but not scare children and adults. I mean, it's not just for children. but to educate them, because so many people don't even know what we do and who we are. So I had finished it last fall, and then it just sat on the shelf for months. And then Everett pushed me to, get it done, get it out there, and we released it in June. So.
Well, it's so exciting. I think it's really cool to get exposure to your area of nursing, and that, everyone can be a nurse, and men in nursing increasing, specifically Black men in nursing, and also educating on what to do in an emergency. Just like you said, both parents and kids.
Yeah,
Because you can't assume that parents know what to do as well, so they can learn together as a family. So that's
absolutely.
really cool.
Yeah.
What a great message.
Thanks.
Cool. So I know that, Crystal, you were saying you were excited about some of the aspects of the more fine tuning of anesthesia. Is there anything new and up and coming in that area that you're particularly excited about, or you feel challenged by?
Well, I'll tell you what challenged me this past week. uh,
Sure. Yeah, that's great.
so actually so I've been in healthcare since, 2002, which isn't a small amount of time. So I feel like I have seen a lot, but obviously I haven't seen it all. I have done some computerized charting in the past, but in Massachusetts, there's not a whole lot of institutions that are using computerized charting. So to come here to the state of North Carolina and use this Epic charting where everything is computerized has been a huge learning curve for me. Because like I said, I have the anesthesia part down. It's just the learning the system. And everyone kept telling me, oh, Epic is easy. You're going to love Epic. And I'm like, I can't find what I'm looking for. It's too busy. Like, just give me a chart that I can flip through with the tab with the H&P. Like, how do I find the H&P on this? So that has been quite a challenge for me. But then also in anesthesia, there is, well, it's all across the care plan, but there is something called an ERAS. It's Enhanced Recovery After Surgery cases. And I did 3 of those this week. And it's a lot of setup as far as they want to give these colorectal patients having surgery no narcotics or a very decreased amount of narcotics for a number of reasons. And so it's a whole big setup anesthetic-wise with the hope that these patients will recover quicker, be pain-free, and, get discharged faster. So that I've had to learn about. I've had to, and I'm still learning. I really had to learn my fine tuning as far as how to set these cases up and how to provide the anesthesia for these cases. So that is something that has interested me because I haven't done it before. So, yeah.
That's awesome. That sounds really great. Great for your patients.
Yeah.
Everett, is there a particular area of anesthesia that you're super excited about? Or I know you were sharing the challenges of being in school right now, and the challenges of being in a completely online environment, and at the same time that your kids are going to school. So do you want to share, something that you're excited about with anesthesia, and then maybe something that you've learned that helps, for students who are in school right now and trying to manage life and school, anything that you found particularly helpful?
I'd say first off, the world of anesthesia is so much larger than most people know. Even myself having some exposure to it, there's still so many things that anesthetists do that I had no idea that they do. My background, of course, caused me to gravitate toward airway management, but that's only a small piece of what the anesthetist does. But yet and still, that's still something that I'm passionate about. It's just having been a paramedic, that's one of the first cool things you learn how to do as a paramedic is how to intubate. you know, and then from there becoming a flight medic. I mean, one of the primary reasons that the flight crew is called is to secure an airway. But the good thing about, or at least in the state of Georgia, unlike the ground crews, the flight crews can actually perform rapid sequence intubation. So that was another step towards learning things that happens in the anesthesia world. So that's always been fascinating to me. And then the difficult airways, because of course, as a flight medic, you know, I'm not just placing a tube in the patient that's coming for an elective surgery. You know, they were electively, you know, shot or in an MVC or, you know, some of those type things. And it changes the whole structure. So it was always a challenge because you had to kind of fine tune your skills if you were going to be successful. And one of the things that the company really pride themselves on is first time pass rates. And not talking about the test. Well, I guess it is a test, the test of whether or not you get this plastic tube into the trachea. So that's still a passion of mine. I mean, let's face it, I do cadaver labs with the state, and that's my favorite skill station is the innovation station. So of course I'm looking to fine tune those skills, learn the anesthesia way of doing it. I think I'll always be a person that kind of gravitates toward the trauma centers or either a big cardiac center, somewhere where the skill set and the pressure and the adrenaline is there, just because I like to thrive in those environments. But there's a lot of cool things when it comes to other procedures that I'm really looking forward to. I'm a big procedure person. I want to learn every procedure that's within the scope of practice that we can do, because I love procedures. If I could do procedures all day, I would. So I'm excited to learn all that I don't know. What I would say to those that are pursuing a CRNA school, it is real what they say. Take that time once you get accepted to truly enjoy life, because there'll be a lot of sacrifices that I'm already realizing in these 2 weeks. These COVID times haven't made it any easier, because there's more adjustments that I didn't account for. And, you know, I previously, I don't know how I felt about going ahead and taking some graduate courses. But if you haven't gotten accepted yet and you're thinking about it, I actually think it may be a good idea to take some graduate courses because it gets you back in graduate school mode. It gets you used to the load of the content, you know, and if you haven't taken an online class in a while, it'll get you back familiarized with discussion posts and online quizzes and, you know, all of those type things that you may not have done in a while. I would probably encourage it now because it would have helped my transition be a little bit better than it is. But the bottom line, if you want it, go for it. It's never too late. And, you know, I arguably would say it's never too early. If you meet the requirements and you want to go for it, I'm going to tell you to go for it, because those are the requirements. Why add more requirements if the school don't have them? So, you know, that's what I would say to anybody who's interested. Just go for it. Don't let them and they deter you from your goals.
That's some awesome recommendations. And I'm really interested to know what's an area of anesthesia that you that surprised you that you didn't know about.
Actually, as a friend of mine now, because I'm a networker. Like that's unintentionally I network more than I even realize sometimes. So I met a guy who is an anesthetist out in Texas, I believe. And he had a similar background to mine. He started as a nurse, but became a medic along the way. And he worked in ICUs, he worked in flight, and he has a few pain clinics out in Texas, and he does a lot of blocks. When I started getting interested in anesthesia, I had no idea that they did anything with blocks, no clue. But he found that as his passion while he was in anesthesia school, and now it's his bread and butter. I mean, that's what he does, from my understanding, day in and day out. And the pain management aspect is something that's pretty cool. But again, I'm a procedure guy. I want to learn every procedure that can be done as an anesthetist until I figure out which one I like the most. But I'm just totally fascinated with anesthesia. And I'm looking forward to get to the clinical part of what it is that we do. I understand the didactic is very, very important, but I'm just ready to, I'm a hands-on guy. So I just look forward to it.
Well, that sounds really great. I want to ask about, you said if you have been away from school for a while, kind of, putting your foot back in the door and, at least taking some classes to kind of you know, get back in graduate school mode. Is there a particular class that you think would be really helpful for people who are looking to do that? Is like biostatistics or scholarly writing, or is there a particular thing that you're like, oh man, that would be really helpful right now?
Honestly, any of them. If you have your eyes on a program, I would say browse the courses that are required and just pick one, because they all kind of work hand in hand. I mean, if you do pathophys, it works with any of the other courses that you're gonna have to take, because if you understand how the body works, then you understand how the medications work. If you understand how the medications work, then you kind of understand how they work on the body. Writing and biostats. And as I mentioned earlier, that I'm not really the admin guy. So the biostats and writing, yeah, sure, take it. But I think any of them are helpful, honestly. They all prepare you for the whole, each part prepares you for the sum total. So just start. That's my
Just
thing.
getting in the groove.
Just start.
Awesome. Well, that's awesome. Crystal, do you have any recommendations for either current students or current nurses who may be looking to go into nurse anesthesia?
Well, I highly recommend reaching out, especially if you are on social media. There's quite a bit of CRNAs and SRNAs who have become public figures in the sense that they are giving back. They are educating the public as well as their followers about who we are, what we do. Some of them are offering free courses. I'm actually going to be doing a free virtual summit with another CRNA and 7 others in 2 weeks. So look for those resources out on social media. We are there now. Maybe not a ton of us, but we definitely are there. Go to a diversity CRNA event. Because of COVID, a lot of things in person have been paused, but the virtual aspect of these conferences are taking the place of the in-person. So Diversity CRNA by Dr. Lena Gould is a huge resource. It's very worth it. You'll learn so much, you'll get to see so much, and you get to ask actual CRNAs and SRNAs questions. There are quite a few authors out there, not just myself, but there are other CRNA authors who have written about their path, and their books are on Amazon. Dewan Harris is one, Andrew Flowers is another, as well as myself. So look on Amazon.com, type in CRNA books, and more than likely all of us, our books will pop up. But there are a lot of people who are really trying to give back to the profession and make the profession better known. So the resources are becoming much more readily available than they were even when I applied, 12 years ago. So you do have to do the work though. Like, it's not going to come and sit in your lap. You are going to have to research. You are going to have to Google. You are going to have to reach out to individuals. You may have to travel when it comes to getting shadowing experience and things like that. So nothing is going to be handed to you. You have to put in some legwork to get where you want to go. And that's for all of us. I mean, I just told you I moved 700 miles and I'm still learning. So that never stops. never.
Well, overall, you would say it's worth it?
Absolutely. 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 The only thing I regret is not believing in myself and not doing it sooner. I was 30 when I went back to CRNA school. Like Everett said, it's never too late. The only time it's too late is when you're dead, obviously. So please don't let age ever deter you. I've seen 50-year-old students. I've seen 45-year-old students with families and second careers and things like that. But I do wish I had done it sooner. But I know had I done it sooner, I probably wouldn't be where I am now. So I don't really want to say I regret that, but that is one thing that, you know, if I could change, I would have, but I'm just as happy.
Well, that's wonderful. Yeah, I really firmly believe that if you are a nurse and you haven't found an area that you are super passionate about, you're in the wrong area, and you're not only doing yourself a disservice, but your patients. So whatever age, whatever stage, you know, find something that you're super passionate about, and it'll help not only you flourish, but also your patient. So y'all just gave great testament to that. Everett, you have any last comments you want to make?
Not really. Just, you know, echo everything that's been said. Pursue your passion. Pray for me. You know, other than that, that's it. You know, it's a process. Like Crystal said, it's gonna take work to get in. It's gonna take work to get through. And when you're done, it's gonna take work to continue. So there'll never be a shortage of work. Just enjoy the process as much as you can. It's much harder to say, you know, being in the process. Those applying to school and getting, not getting interviews or getting not accepted or getting waitlisted. I know it's frustrating. It was frustrating for me. Crystal can tell you, I was super frustrated about being waitlisted. But I'm here now. Now that I'm here, there's another journey. There's another process. Mm-hmm. And it's a saying that, you know, I think the saying goes that real lions like to hunt. They like the process just as much as they like the prize. It's easier said than done because sometimes the process is not enjoyable. But the prize is definitely enjoyable. And if you can try to enjoy the process, it'll make that prize that much more rewarding.
Well, that's great. Well, thank you both so much for sharing your expertise. And I know that everyone watching this are going to be super excited about going into nursing anesthesia. So thank you so much. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you for having us. I have to, of course, say, you know, grab your copy of the Super CRNA on Amazon.
And it's Kindle too. I have my Kindle edition, so you know you can have both.
Yes, absolutely.
That's fantastic. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you for having us. We appreciate it.